Okay, so let's go dive right in. Moshe, thank you so much for taking the time. What I want to dive into here is the realities of 2x revenue scaling. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me. For those of you who don't know who I am, Moshe Amsel.
What are the elements we have to think through? I really want to go out of the spacey woo-woo territory, and I want to go into the nuts and bolts of 2x revenue scaling. A lot of our audience is doing 100 grand a month on average based on our surveys. So I'm curious, what are the realities of going from where someone is right now to doubling revenues? What decisions have to be made?
I like to move everything back to my overall system that I use to describe or figure out what's wrong with your firm. Like, why aren't you making the progress that you want to make? It's a system that contains 3 pillars. It's called the strategic trifecta method. Pillar 1 is scalability. Pillar 2 is systems, and pillar 3 is reversal. And reversal meaning reversal in the way you think, your mindset, the way you look at your business, the overall perspective that you have, how you price it, how you offer it, how you hire people, everything related to the work that you do. What happens is that as we grow, we tend to take things for granted. We tend to take our growth for granted, and we don't focus on what we need to do to get to that next step. Really what that takes is it takes mapping out the plan of how am I going to 2x my growth over the next year, and then sticking to that plan and making it happen. There's many different reasons why somebody may be stuck at the level that they're at. Maybe they don't have enough people to do the work that's required to make room for the new business to come in. Maybe they don't have a good marketing system in place that's going to take them beyond the leads they're currently generating. Maybe they don't have a good process to close the leads in that process. So there isn't a one fit answer for every single law firm out there, because everyone is faced with a different problem. But one thing that's for sure is that when you're building your business, everything happens in succession, and there's basically a 3-step process that happens. First, you bring in leads, you turn them into clients. Then you need to service them. So you need to actually provide the service you sold them. And then you need to figure out what to do with your money. And then you need to find more clients. So as you go through this 3-step process, you should be creating a spiral staircase where you're always up leveling each of those steps as you go through it. And what happens is that instead of up leveling, we end up circling the drain, right? We're just doing the same thing over and over again in the same space and hoping that we're not going to run out of energy while we're treading water. So we need to look at each of those areas and figure out which is the one that I need to move the needle on in order to move forward. And this goes back to the mindset. You didn't want it to be woo, but this goes back to the mindset. If I asked anybody who's stuck, what is the number one thing that you think is standing in the way, stopping you, or slowing you down from getting to where you want to go? Most people already know the answer to that question. And even though you know the answer to that question, you're not solving that problem. So the question is why? And that's where you really need to look deep and figure out, why is it that I'm putting this off? Why is it that I'm not making this a priority? If this is where I want to go, why have I been unsuccessful in being able to make this a priority? And answering that question is going to unlock your ability to not only 2x, but maybe even 4x or 6x or 10x your growth in the next year.
One of the things I run into is expectations versus reality. I'm curious, it's very funny when you study billionaires and very successful investors, they all, even like the guys in real estate who do real estate investment trusts and all that, they refer to themselves as financiers or in the business of finance. What are the financial awareness habits? If someone's scaling their business, are they supposed to pull out their profit and loss statement? And are they supposed to analyze that on a monthly basis to look at what expected revenue was versus what reality was? And is there a certain process you follow on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis to fight against delusion in your growth trajectory?
There's 2 different aspects of analyzing finance. One is the cash flow of your business, and the second is the profitability of your business. Those 2 are not the same. And the sooner that you recognize that, the sooner that you will realize that you need to really conquer both to win at this game that we call law firm growth. Let's talk about cash first. First, you pay your expenses, then you figure out how much profit you have, then you pay your taxes, and then you take some money home. If you're lucky and you can take some money home. The problem with that method and with working that way is that we tend to look at our bank account to make business decisions. And our bank account contains that entire pool of money. So what happens is we end up spending money that wasn't ours to begin with in the course of running our business. So we make business decisions from that whole dollar, when in reality, the operating expenses should have been a very small sliver of that dollar. As solo to small, and when you're small, should be 30%. As you grow, because human resources is a big cost factor, you're going to creep up on 50% of your revenue being operating expenses. But then 15% is going to tax. So what's left for you is all dependent on how well you control those other figures. So you have to get out of the habit of looking at your bank account to figure out that this is what I can spend, and instead find a system. Doesn't have to be profit first. Find a system that's going to allow you to figure out what is available for you to be able to make good business decisions, so you're not spending every penny that's coming in, and at the end of the year getting a pat on the back from your accountant because you have $0 in tax liability, when in reality the reason you're getting the pat on the back is because you made no money. So that's the cash flow piece of it. The second piece you asked is about profitability and about looking at your numbers and looking at your financial statements. The first thing that I will tell you is that we have 170 people in the room right now. Of those 170 people, probably 140 of them don't even know how to read a financial statement. And that's the first problem. So when we talk about financial statements, you need to know how to understand what a balance sheet is, what a profit and loss statement is, and what the difference is between the two. And you don't have to be an accountant, but you do have to be a business owner. You do have to put your business owner big boy pants on or big girl pants on and be able to go out there and say, I understand what my business is doing. Now, you might have a lot of cash in the bank because you drew down a credit line. You might have a lot of cash in the bank because you ran up a credit card bill that's $100,000. But in reality, you lost $100,000 over the course of the year. So if you're not paying attention to your profit and loss statement and to your balance sheet, you won't notice that your liabilities are increasing, that you're actually not making a profit in the work that you're doing. We can go deeper into the specifics. So when you're looking at your profit and loss statement, the number one question is, are we profitable, right? Am I making money? And I think that what does that mean to you as the law firm owner? You need to understand what profit is versus what your paycheck is. A lot of lawyers are confused about that. And you said that when you look at billionaires, you look at really successful people, they see themselves as financiers, right? And the reason is because when I own a business, there's two aspects to that business. If I'm working in the business, then I'm an employee wearing an employee hat. I should get paid for that work I'm doing. But if I own a business, I'm also a shareholder. If I own stock in Apple, wouldn't I expect that my share price would go up or that the company make a profit so that the shares I own are worth more than they were yesterday? Yes. So as a shareholder of your law firm, you want to get paid on the profitability that the law firm is generating. You should have a goal of being able to extract yourself from working in the firm completely and still be taking home a very nice living from your law firm. Now, that doesn't mean you have to not work in the law firm. It just means that you shouldn't be the one that has to do all the things in order for the law firm to operate. So when we look at your pay, we have to separate what are you paying yourself as a lawyer or as a marketer or as a receptionist because you're doing all those things, and what are you paying yourself as the owner? That's your profit that you're taking home. And you have to separate those two things, because when you look at your profit and loss statement, you should be including your salary, even if it's not. There's a tax reason why it may or may not be on your profit and loss. So if you're an S corp, you'll be paying yourself, but you'll only be doing reasonable compensation. I don't want to go into that, not the focus of what we're talking about right now, but you have to understand how to extract your pay and your profit when you're looking at your P&L, so you understand how well am I truly doing, not just as an employee of my business, but also as the owner of my business.
The most important number in a business is either revenue per employee or profit per employee. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I disagree. I think the most important number is how much money did the owner take home? Your profit. That is the most important number. Why? Because why are you running your business? Is it to provide income to the people who are working there, or is it to bring home money to you? Now, you might have an altruistic reason for your law firm. You might have a mission and thing that you're wanting to accomplish with your law firm. You might actually want to provide income to all these people, but you're not running a charity. You're doing it for a reason. And the number one reason, until you're wealthy enough, is to provide wealth to you and your family and your kids and your philanthropic activities, whatever it is you want to do with that money. That is the number one thing that you're trying to do with your business. So if you want a scorecard to measure how successful are you, you got to look at what is it you're trying to do. And what you're trying to do is bring home money. I can tell you there are solos out there that are taking home 10 times more than people who have $3-4 million firms. Why is that? Because it doesn't take a large law firm to bring home a large paycheck. It all has to do with winning at the game of bringing in more revenue than expenses and being able to keep the difference. So when you're looking at your numbers, all those other things, throw them out the window. I mean, yes, those are numbers that are used to calculate whether you are being efficient with your expenses. But I don't like those numbers because they're all based on a different model.
Why is there so much guilt around what you pay yourself?
There are more than one answer to that. But I will tell you, look at the marketplace, look at people who are touting their successes. What is the thing that they are touting? Are they going out and saying, look at me, I built a law firm with 50 people in it. Look at me, I built a law firm with $4 million in revenue, $10 million in revenue. Look at me, I'm bringing in $1 million a month. Has anybody gone out there and said, look at me, I am making $1 million profit a year? That's not the message in the marketplace. So the message that everybody is getting is, in order to win at this game, I have to be able to say, look at me, I have XYZ. And all those XYZs are pointing to outside indicators that have zero impact on whether or not you are truly successful. I will tell you that the way I got started with law firms in the first place, and I share this story all the time, Profit First Professional, I got a lead through Profit First headquarters, and it was a law firm in Manhattan. And they became a client. They referred another client, referred another client. Before I knew it, great, through referrals, I had 6 law firms as clients, all of them beautiful offices, all of them multiple attorneys on staff. All of them, the attorneys were busy morning to night, and every single one of them was transferring personal funds to cover payroll. When I saw that, I said, here is an industry that 100% of the clients I attracted were all winning at the outside metrics, and they were all losing at the ownership game. And I said, I can make a difference. I'm going to come out here in the industry and I'm going to preach and I'm going to teach and I'm going to find a way to solve this problem. And that's why I'm here.